Are you stuck choosing between a tiny house that feels way too small or a big house that's out of your budget? You are definitely not alone. If you've been looking at the housing market and you're tired of seeing cramped spaces or oversized homes, building a small home for yourself might be the perfect solution. In this video, I'll share 5 key ways to design a home that still feels spacious, inspiring, and budget friendly. I can relate to wanting to get out of the housing trap. Back in 2019, I built my own 300 square foot home. It was enough space for me, my dog, and all my hobbies. And really, that journey completely changed my life. The self-build process really inspired me to help others create their own homes and really instilled the power of small, intentional design. Plus, after a decade of designing on tight budgets, I've learned how to maximize every single square inch. So let's dive into the 5 ways that you can design your own small yet spacious home. By the way, if you're planning to design your own nature-connected home, I created a free guide called the Property Planning Workbook, and it walks you through step-by-step the entire design process. So there'll be a link in the description below to go check that out. Okay, let's get into it. So number 1 is to know what you really need. Home sizes have actually doubled since 1950, despite the fact that on average, our family sizes have gotten smaller. While living in a small space isn't always ideal, so instead of starting with square footage, start with what you actually need. Do you need a desk space? Do you need a craft space? Do you need a place to eat? Look at your daily life and see where you spend the most time. It's also helpful to look at where you're duplicating activities. So, for example, do you eat at the bar and the kitchen table? Do you work at the kitchen table and a desk? Do you keep coats in 2 different closets? Do you read in bed and on the couch? So if you find yourself doing the same activity in multiple locations or storing things in multiple locations, consider scaling down one of those areas to reduce any kind of redundancy. So here's a chart that helps you match your family size to your square footage. So for example, if you're designing a home for 2 people, 400 to 1200 square foot is plenty. This chart actually comes from Jason McClellan's book, Transformational Thought, which is full of innovative building concepts. So a touch of minimalism really goes a long way in making a small home feel spacious. So clutter just makes any space feel cramped. So make sure everything has a home, whether that's a cabinet, a drawer, or it's just neatly out of sight. The more you can reduce visual clutter, the more open and calming your space will feel. Okay, number 2, multifunctional spaces. One of the best ways to make a small home feel more spacious is by designing spaces and furniture that serve more than one purpose. So here are a couple of my favorites. The breakfast nook. This is a cozy bench in a corner that can double as a dining area and a living area. You can also add built-in storage underneath the benches, and you've just created 3 functions in one space: living, dining, and storage. And then there is the cloffice, which is the office closet. This is something you can do if you work from home, but you don't need a full-size office. You might consider the cloffice. So basically you can tuck a desk within a small reach-in closet, or you could even convert a walk-in closet to be your office with additional storage and shelving. It's also nice to have the office in the closet because you're able to close it off at the end of the workday so it's out of sight, so that you can have like a little bit of work-life balance. You can also consider anything that has a hinge. So Murphy beds, sleeper sofas, fold down surfaces are the classic game changers. So think about this with your furniture, especially with things you don't need all the time. Okay, circulation. So instead of focusing on the positive space, the furniture, the functions, you can instead focus on the negative space, which is the circulation, the clearance to actually walk around in your home. This ensures that you're placing things in the right area from the beginning. You can also consider things like sliding doors instead of swinging doors, whether it's a pocket door or a barn door, because they instantly make the flow of a smaller space just function so much better. And then don't forget the outdoors. Things like decks, porches, and covered patios can really extend a living area without adding too much expense or square footage. If you're thinking about building a small home, I'm curious which strategies you're thinking about using in your design. So please share them in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Okay. Number 3 is use height strategically. When you don't have much square footage, vertical space becomes one of your best tools in creating a sense of spaciousness. Even adding just an extra foot in ceiling height makes a huge difference. The standard 8-foot ceilings in older homes feel claustrophobic, at least to me. But this is especially true in smaller homes. If you can, aim for 9 to 10-foot ceilings, but don't go too high because then the space might start to lose its cozy feel, and it might just be more expensive as well. Lofts are another great way to use height. So a simple loft can serve multiple purposes. It can be a bedroom, it can be an office, a living area, or a storage space. And then when you're designing a loft, keeping that open stairway area just helps us bring more light into the space and just makes it feel more spacious. Designing for height can also help with cost and efficiency. A 2-story home saves on roofing and foundation costs instead of spreading everything out on one level. A steeper roof pitch is great for things like solar panels and overhangs, and they can also help with creating more usable space within the roof assembly if you add attic gable trusses. One other note about having 2 stories is that when you have 2 stories, it really does help with privacy. So if you have multiple people in your family, this really does make a difference. Tall ceilings also help with storage, so you can stack bookshelves high, shelving high, and then store less used items above. So you can also consider things like lofted beds with, a desk or a little cozy nook underneath. This is especially great for kids' rooms if you're trying to maximize the square footage. And remember, you don't need tall ceilings everywhere. Mixing higher ceilings in the main living area and then having lower ones in secondary spaces really strikes a nice balance. You get rooms that feel spacious and then other rooms that feel more cozy. Cathedral and vaulted ceilings are another great option. They let you take advantage of the natural roof shape without lowering it with a flat ceiling. And actually, this typically calls for a warm roof assembly, which basically just has exterior insulation on the outside. And this is actually a preferred method over having a vented attic space in most cases. So that's nice. So there's a saying that goes, if you can't get footage, get cubage. And if you can't get cubage, get light. In other words, if you're working with a small footprint, you have limited square footage, you're using height to create a sense of space. And if you can't use height, then your last option is to rely on light to open things up. I love this rule. It makes so much sense when designing smaller homes and is a quick trick to pull out of your hat when you need it. And that also leads me to the next point, the importance of bringing in light. So number 4 is to maximize natural light. Light is one of the most direct ways that we connect with nature from inside our homes. Unfortunately, many houses don't get enough natural light. They're often dark and uninspiring to live in. So first up is orientation. Position your home to capture the winter light. So that is south in the northern hemisphere and north in the southern hemisphere. Be careful not to place porches on these sides. They block the sunlight that warms your home in the cold winter days and also kind of helps with seasonal depression. Too much light in the summer is problematic though, so you have to make sure you have enough overhangs to block the summer sun. So if adding height is more difficult or costly, you can compensate with adding more windows to a space. Additional windows connect you with the outdoors, but they also make the room feel larger than it actually is. You can add transoms, which are basically windows above doors or other windows. They can dramatically bring in more light. You can also lower your sills to 12 to 24 inches above the floor in areas where you don't have furniture. And this just maximizes your views and brings in more light. But this is also a balancing act because too much glass will make it feel exposed, it reduces the privacy, and honestly, it's not that great with thermal performance. A good compromise could even be a single floor to ceiling window somewhere in the house, or maybe a couple glass sliders. Because windows are expensive, you really do want to budget for them really early on. If you need just a little extra light, even just a small fixed window, which is like a window that doesn't open, it can make a huge difference in connecting you with the outdoors at a fraction of the cost. I don't usually recommend skylights. If they're not installed properly, they are prone to failure and they can dramatically overheat a space. So that is something to consider. So instead, you can consider solar tubes. They're just more of a reliable way to bring light into dark spaces. So design plays a role not just in bringing light into your home, but also distributing it throughout your space. Open floor plans bring so much more light into a house. So you can try that, or you can also, if you don't want to take down a wall, you could add transoms or just openings just above the ceiling height without taking that wall down entirely. And then finally, think about the quality of light. So soft, warm, adjustable lighting really does work best. You can also add dimmers to create a cozy, refined atmosphere no matter the time of day. Okay, so number 5 is planning for additions. You don't have to build your entire dream home all at once. A smart strategy, especially if you're on a tight budget, is to start small and then build in phases. So begin with a core block that includes your essential spaces such as your kitchen, your living, your bathroom, and your bedroom, maybe your bedroom's in a loft, and then plan to add bedrooms or other rooms later. If you know you're going to expand in the future, whether that's for guests, family members, or just other spaces, maybe a rental space, then you really want to plan for it and design for it now. So you want to frame in proper doorway headers where the additions are going to connect so that they can be closed off temporarily and then opened up later on. And if you're considering a second story, you really want to make sure that your footings and your structural design is going to support the loads to handle that weight from the very beginning. A little upfront planning with an engineer or a builder can really go a long way in making expansions so much easier and so much more cost effective in the future. Roof design also really matters with additions. So you want to consider when you're thinking about your core block, you want to think of designing a roof line that allows for shed additions to make that addition so much more straightforward. If the initial roof is too low, you may run into headroom problems when you go to add on to your addition. So with a little bit of foresight, you're set up to expand gradually, saving money now and building out a space later at your own time without any kind of pressure. Okay, and that is a wrap on the 5 ways to design a small yet spacious home. Remember, small homes can feel cramped, they can feel cozy, or they can feel spacious, and it's really all about how you design them. If you're dreaming of designing and building your own resilient home, I created a free guide called the Property Planning Workbook, which is linked in the description below. It'll walk you through every step of the planning process so that your home aligns with your lifestyle, your values, and your budget. And I'd love to hear from you. What's one strategy you'd use to make a small home feel more spacious? Drop it in the comments below. I really do read every single one. I've also got more videos on designing resilient homes that you might enjoy, so please check those out right here. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye!